Umajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So text 17 of this chapter, 13th chapter. Avivaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthitam bhuta bhartra cha tajneyam grahineshu prava vishnu cha. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. So here we see that the super soul is present in everyone's heart. It doesn't mean that there are many different super souls are there. So there is only one super soul who is present in everybody's heart. So this is understood in a way like when we see that um, whenever we go to any place, we see that the sun is there, which is there on the top of the top of our head, and the sun is one, but then everybody will feel that the sun is there on top of one's head. So in the same way, like we see that the supreme Lord, the super soul, he is also undivided. He is like one entity, right? Okay, let's see the purport. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Does this mean that he has become divided? No, actually, he is one. The example is given of the sun. The sun at the meridian is situated in its place. But if one goes for 5,000 miles in all directions and asks, where is the sun? Everyone will say that it is shining on his head. In the Vedic literature, this example is given to show that although he is undivided, he is situated as if divided. And it is said in the Vedic literatures that one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence. Just as the sun appears in many places to many persons, and the Supreme Lord, although the maintainer of living entity, devours everything at the time of annihilation. So he is not just the maintainer. So we have studied this point also. Like he also destroys. He's also the destroyer. He's the creator, and he's the maintainer, and he is also the destroyer. Right? Okay, this was confirmed in the 11th chapter. And when the Lord said that he had come to devour all the warriors assembled at Kurukshetra, he also mentioned that in the form of time he devours also. He is the annihilator, the killer of all. When there is creation, he develops all forms, all from their original state, and at the time of annihilation, he devours them. The devouring means like swallowing, or in a very what is it? It's a very strong term of swallowing, devouring. Eat hungrily or quickly. He devoured half of his burger in one bite. It's like, right. So the Vedic hymns confirm the fact that he is the origin of all living entities, and the rest of all means he is Param Dhamma. He is the resting place of all the living entities. After the creation, everything rests in his omnipotence, and after the annihilation, everything again returns to rest in him. These are the confirmations of the Vedic hymns. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisham vishanti tad brahma tad vigyasava. Okay, so okay, ज्योतिषाम् अपि तत् ज्योतिस्तमसः परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्ठितम्. Okay, he is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. So, here the Lord is talking about Paramatma. So, sometimes we may wonder, so Krishna is talking about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. So, then why is he sometimes says, Ma Manusmara, and then Maam Eva Sharanam Vraja, and no, to me he's particularly pointing, and some places he's telling he, as if a third party. So why he uses he and why he uses me, like both the things he uses. So whenever he uses myself, no, he is talking about the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord, and whenever he is using this word he, no, he is talking about the Paramatma. Whenever he's like pointing to the Paramatma, Paramatma is an expansion of the Lord, but then he points it as he, right? So he is the source of the light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge. Right. So he is the knowledge. No, the Supreme Lord is the end of all knowledge, and then he is the object of knowledge. So what is the purpose of all this knowledge? To know him only, and he is the goal of all the knowledge. Right. So in this way, like we see in every angle, so it is the process is also the Lord and the end is also the Lord. Right? And such a person, he is situated in the heart of everyone. Okay, purport. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the source of light in all luminous objects like the sun, moon, and stars. In the Vedic literature, we find that in the spiritual kingdom, there is no need of sun or moon because the effulgence of the Supreme Lord is there. So even in Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna says, "Natad bhashayate suryo, na sashanko na pavakaha." Right. So there is no need of any sun, moon, and electricity or fire. No, because in the spiritual planets, it is all self-effulgent, and the Lord's supreme Brahma Jyoti is there, and they don't require all this small time. This one. Light producing entities, which cannot even completely destroy the darkness of the universe. Even sun can only destroy a portion of the darkness of the universe, but then no, this one, what is it? The Lord's Brahma Jyoti is supremely amazing. Like it just fills even the entire spiritual sky. Hmm? And even the sun and moon, they get their power from the Brahma Jyoti, right? And this is all very very small, like a tube light or a bulb kind of a thing in comparison to the Brahma Jyoti. Okay, so the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is a source of light in all luminous objects like sun, moon, and stars. And in the spiritual kingdom, there is no need of all these things because the Lord's original source is there. Okay, in the material world, that Brahma Jyoti, the Lord's spiritual effulgence, is covered by Mahat Tattva, the material elements. Therefore, in this material world, we require the assistance of sun, moon, electricity, etc. for light. So, if the Lord's Brahma Jyoti is all pervading and existing everywhere, then why the material world is dark? Because we are covered by this material elements. So it is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita quite a few times. We had recited the Sloka. So that is Andantarastha Paramanuchayantarastham. Right. So that is also this under, like Brahmanda. So like whenever this one comes, like it is in the shape of an under. That means an egg, and this egg is having a shell. So, but this material world is having a very very thick shell. No, and the Brahma Jyoti doesn't come inside the material world or material universe, and like that's why we require the sun and moon to illuminate the material universe. So in the spiritual world, when we go outside this like thick covering of the material world, So then we don't need the sun, moon, and things like that. So we will have the Lord's spiritual effulgence, will be there. Okay, it is clearly stated in the Vedic literature that because of his luminous effulgence, everything is illuminated. It is clear, therefore, that his situation is not in the material world. He is situated in the spiritual world, which is far, far beyond in the spiritual sky. That is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Aditya Varnam Tamasa Prasadat. So, Svetashvatara Upanishad. So, he is just like the sun, eternally luminous, and he is far, far beyond the darkness of this material world, right? So his knowledge is transcendental. The Vedic literature confirms that Brahman is concentrated transcendental knowledge, right? So this Brahman, so where it is light, and at the same time it is also called as knowledge. That is why Tamasoma Jyotirgama, these statements are there. So wherein this ignorance is considered to be the darkness, and the light is considered to be the knowledge, right? So in this way, like we see that the Brahman is mentioned here as the concentrated transcendental knowledge. No, it's Brahman is like that knowledge. It's only gives rise to the effulgence. No, the Supreme Lord is also called as absolute truth. So absolute truth or absolute knowledge means the Supreme Lord, right? So this Brahman is a concentrated transcendental knowledge. And to one who is anxious to be transferred to the spiritual world, knowledge is given by the Supreme Lord who is situated in everyone's heart. One Vedic mantra, Svetashvata Upanishad, says, Tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanam aham prapadye. One must surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he at all wants liberation. As far as the goal of ultimate knowledge is concerned, it is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Tam eva viditvati mrityum eti. Only by knowing him, tam eva viditva, no, only by knowing him can one surpass the boundary of birth and death. This is again from Svetashvatara Upanishad. He is situated in everyone's heart as the supreme controller. The supreme has legs and hands distributed everywhere. We had studied a sloka in this regard that sarvato pani padov, right? So everywhere the Lord's hands and legs are there, right? And then and this cannot be said of the individual soul. Therefore, that there are two knowers of field of activity, the individual soul and the super soul, must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's hands and legs are distributed everywhere. This is confirmed in Svetashvata Upanishad. Sarvasya Prabhum Ishanam Sarvasya Sharanam Brihat. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, is the Prabhu or Master of all living entities. Therefore, he is ultimate shelter of all living entities. So there is no denying the fact that the Supreme Super Soul and the individual soul are always different. Okay, so here we saw that how the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, he is present in everyone's heart, and he is present everywhere, and he has got his hands and legs everywhere. And then all these things actually proves that the Supreme Lord exists, and he is a different knower from the individual soul, who is also knower of the body. So individual soul, we can never say that I am present everywhere in this creation. No, because I don't know what's happening everywhere in the creation. Then how can I say, no, I'm present everywhere in the creation? I cannot move anywhere and everywhere I want. No, I'm checked by the boundaries of the countries, and even otherwise I'm checked by the capacity to travel. Even if I take the fastest of conveyance, I cannot go to a faraway place within seconds, right? So, but Lord can, because sarvatra pani pado, right? So he has got this hands and legs everywhere. He can immediately move to any place he wants. He can immediately appear from any place he wants, right? So we know that Vyaptim tabhuteshu akhileshu chatmana stambhe sabhayam namrigam namanasham. We know that when Prahlad Maharaj prayed, or not even prayed, like when he was challenged that, no, does your Lord is there in this pillar? So the Lord immediately manifested from there. It is not that, wait, I have to set up my system over there. It's not like that. The Lord is there everywhere. And this cannot be said of the living entities. So it is very, very clear. There are two knowers of the like body is there. One is the individual soul, like us. No, we know only our body, and mostly we misunderstand others. And no, the super soul, the supreme Lord, he perfectly understands everyone because he's there in every single living entity's heart. No, that's why he is a different knower, different from the individual soul. Text 19. Iti kshetram tata jnanam jneyam choktam samasatah madbhakta etad vijnaya madbhavayopa padyate. Okay, thus the field of activities, the body, the knowledge, the 20 items of knowledge we studied, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So here the Lord is nicely telling that even though this knowledge is there, so not anyone and everyone can understand the Lord. Bhaktya mam abhijanati, right? So yoga, naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavruta. So the Lord says that no, I don't manifest myself in front of everyone because no, like. Uh, I'm only understood by the devotees. No, bhaktya mam abhijanati. So I don't reveal myself to everyone. So that's the position of the Lord. So only when we become devotees of the Lord, we will be able to understand how this field of activity, the body is there, and what is the knowledge that amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantirarjavam, acharya pasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma vinigraha. Right. So all these things, I hope some of you would have started memorizing, and some of you would have memorized also. No, some of you have done that. It's a very, very important set of slokas. Now, amazing set of qualities are listed down, and this is knowledge. Whatever has been listed down is knowledge. So, amanitvam, like humble, like adambitvam, it's like prideless, and things like that. So, every day, if we can just recite this whole list and then see that, how far we are doing these things, it'll be a very, very nice ready reckoner, right? So, in that way, we should try to do. Hope somebody had tried to memorize this set of slokas. Anyways, you can message in the this one, or if somebody would like to give a timeline, know how long it may take for you to memorize. So in my opinion, you can, it's just 4 slokas. In a week's time it is quite comfortably possible, and if we do everyday recitation of this sloka, it's so purifying, and we will also be able to memorize it very, very quickly. Right? So kindly try to memorize, and more like we are having the Sanskrit slokas in the mind, we are able to recollect them and recite them. It's very, very purifying, right? So okay, thank you, Pushpa Mataji. Within a week you will memorize. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we will continue. Um, the Lord has described in summary the body, knowledge, and the knowable. This knowledge is of three things: the knower, the knowable, and the process of knowing. Right? So, process of knowing. The 20 items, it is mentioned as knowledge, but actually, essentially, it is process of knowledge. And there is a goal of the knowledge, that is the knowable. So that Krishna very nicely mentioned that how we have to understand the soul and the super soul. No, these two are the knowable things, right? We have to understand about ourselves, and we have to understand about the super soul. So these are the knowable things, right? And then who's the knower? Knower is, I am, individual soul is also the knower, and the Supreme Lord is also the knower, right? So both of them are knowers. So these are the three things which are very, very explicitly and nicely mentioned, right? So combined, these are called Vijnana, or the signs of knowledge, or realized knowledge. Sometimes Prabhupada says it is Vijnana means realized knowledge. Jnana means knowledge, and Vijnana means realized knowledge. So here Prabhupada uses the word signs of knowledge. So these three things, if somebody knows the knower of the fields, and somebody knows what is to be known, and somebody knows the process of knowledge. If they know these three things, that is called Vijnana. Okay, perfect knowledge can be understood by the unalloyed devotees of the Lord directly. Others are unable to understand. The monist says that at the ultimate stage, these three items becomes one, but the devotees do not accept this. Knowledge and development of knowledge means understanding oneself in Krishna consciousness. We are being led by material consciousness, but as soon as we transfer all consciousness to Krishna's activities and realize that Krishna is everything, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, right? So then we attain real knowledge. In other words, knowledge is nothing but preliminary stage of understanding devotional service perfectly. So in the 15th chapter, this will be very clearly explained. So we see that knowledge is the prerequisite for understanding or traversing the path of Krishna consciousness. So initially, when we try to practice Krishna consciousness, what happens is the material cloud that is there, the lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and things like that, that gets washed off. Vidunoti suhrit satam. And then further, so once the washing is completely done, then what remains is knowledge. In the platform of knowledge, we can actually make progress in Krishna consciousness. So initially, we are not making much of progress in Krishna consciousness. We are only trying to destroy the ignorance that is there. And simultaneously, we are trying to develop some affection for the Lord. And when we come to the platform of knowledge, then we will make real progress in Krishna consciousness. No, that's the real this one. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. Right. So when we engage all our senses in the service of the Lord, then the first outcome is that sarva upadi vinirmuktam. Right. So all the material contamination gets washed off, and then tat paratvena nirmalam. No, all the senses becomes purified. Then we actually enter into bhakti. No, so till then it is called practicing of bhakti, and real bhakti will start after we become completely purified of material contamination. Desham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavata. Right. So it is to practice Krishna consciousness solidly, one has to hit the platform of knowledge, or one has to hit the platform of liberation, and that is where we will be able to start the practice of Krishna consciousness. Right. So what is the goal? The liberation is goal for so many yoga practitioners, and for Krishna consciousness, that is the prerequisite, to start the Krishna consciousness. So anyone can start Krishna consciousness, but the first thing that happens is the cleansing aspect, and then the same chanting, the same hearing will actually develop us in more and more in Krishna consciousness, right? So that okay. So here, it is mentioned nicely that how this knowledge is a prerequisite and it's a preliminary stage of the understanding devotional service. Once we have the knowledge, that is, who is the knower of the what is the field, who is the knower of the field, then what is to be known by this knowledge, and then the process of knowledge. So all these things, when it is clarified, so then we are situated in knowledge, and from there we can actually make solid progress in the Krishna consciousness. And this is not a knowledge that is acquired by the way of studying. So of course we study, but it is not because I'm studying I'm going to become knowledgeable. No, because I'm studying, Krishna is going to become pleased, and he is going to enable the knowledge in my system, right? So that's how it is going to happen. So let's try to please the Supreme Lord by the process of our listening to Bhagavad Gita. Okay, now to summarize, one may understand that verses 6 and 7 beginning from Mahabhutani and continuing through Chetana Dhritihi, analyze the material elements and certain manifestation of the symptoms of life. These combine to form the body or the field of activities. So the field of activity is mentioned in 6th and 7th, right? And then from the and verses 8 through 12, that is from amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantirarjavam, so all those things, and then tatvadana tadarshanam, that is the last sloka, that is mentioned. So they describe the process of knowledge for understanding both type of knowers of the field of activities. So what is the knowledge is going to help us? Knowledge is going to help us understand the soul and the super soul, because these are the two things that needs to be known. No, so the knower, the object of knowledge is the Lord and the individual soul, right? So we have to That is why it is called as self-realization. So when we want to identify or we want to see like who we are, we don't even know who we are. So we would have taken our darshan in the mirror almost every day, but that's not who we are. So that which we are seeing in the mirror is going to go off, and I am a different person within this body, right? So this whole thing is called as knowledge, right from humility, pridelessness, and things like that to this understanding the Lord in truth. Hmm? So, so this is from verses 8 to 12. So they describe the process of knowledge for understanding both type of knower of the field of activities, namely the soul and the super soul. Then verse 13 through 18, beginning from Anadi Mat Param and continuing through Hridi Sarvasya Vishtitham, describe the soul and the super soul, or the soul and the supreme lord, or the super soul. Right. So in this way, like the field of activities is seen, and then the aspect of look, this process of knowledge is being seen, right? Okay, so there's three items have been described: field of activity, that is a body; the process of understanding; and both the soul and super soul, which needs to be understood by the process. So these are the three things that are mentioned. It is especially described here that only the unalloyed devotee of the Lord can understand these three items clearly. So, of these devotees, so for these devotees, Bhagavad Gita is fully useful. It is they who can attain the supreme goal, the nature of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, only devotees and not others can understand Bhagavad Gita and derive desired result. So Prabhupada gives a summary of all the slokas till now we have seen in this particular chapter, and he gives that three things that are being clarified: what is a field, and what is the process of knowledge, and what needs to be attained. Hmm? Okay, text 20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidhi anadi ubhavapi vikarams cha gunams chaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be the beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Right? So we are beginningless, we are anadi, we are there all the time. And but then we are seeing that we are born and we are growing old and we will going to die also. So many people have died also already. So this is the transformation, and I am ever existing, unchangeable means what is this transformation that is going on top of me? It is not the living, it is not we ourselves are going through transformation. So when we understand we are spirit soul and we cannot go through transformation, no, like vikara, like the matter is uh, happening, so what's happening in the matter. So you should understand that that which is transformed is just the matter. It's just my body that is getting changed. My soul will never get changed, right? So I am the same individual person. The soul is always there. Okay, purport. By the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, the field of activities, and the knowers of the body, both the individual soul and the super soul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is Purusha, or the living entity. Um Here we see a very important thing. Generally, the word Purusha refers to a male, this one. Uh, and it generally refers in the Vedic parlance, it refers to the Supreme Lord. So Parama Purusha, Purushottama, right? So all those things, like it addresses the Lord. But here it's a peculiar thing. The living entity is addressed as Purusha in the 13th chapter, right? So those of you who are writing, I don't know, like the Prabhupada Ashraya paper, so there the specific question is there, like Purusha Prakriti, and then Jnanam, Nyayam, and things like that. All these things we have to define. Generally, the devotees make a mistake. Purusha means they'll write Lord. So, but in this chapter, the context of Purusha is the living entity. The living entity, even in the other one, like no Purusha Prakritisto hi bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan. So, like there also the Purusha means the living entity. No, it's a special usage of this word. Why this special usage? What does exactly the Purusha word means? Purusha means an enjoyer, and the living entity, be he a male or female, everybody has the mood of a Purusha. They want to enjoy this world, right? And we want to become the Prakriti, or we want to become the servant of the Lord. And every day we sing this prayer, that Tulsi Marani prayer, that no Seva Adhikara Diye Karo Nija Dasi, right? So we are praying that, please make me a dasi. Dasi means like, female entity. So we aspire, especially, we the devotees in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, we all want to become the residents of Vrindavan, and especially the assistants of the gopis. So in that way, like, our destination is that we want to become a dasi, right? So that's the destination that we are aspiring for, right? So, but then in this world, in the material world, we have stuck with the mentality of Purusha. No, we want to be the enjoyer. No, we are not able to accommodate that Lord is the enjoyer, right? So Lord is the Bhoktaram Ikna Tapasham, right? He is Purushottama, he is Purusha, he needs to enjoy, and we have to supply enjoyment to the Lord, right? So that's the mood that we have to develop. The Lord is the enjoyer, and we have to be enjoyed. So that's the mood that we have to develop. So in the material world, we are Purusha, and we want the Lord to supply things for us. No, I want this, I want that, and like God is the order supplier, and He should keep supplying. And if He stops supplying, we will think that, no, what kind of God is He? No, change the God. No, so this God is not good. He is not giving everything what I want. So change the God. Right. So that's the Purusha mentality. Right. So we want to enjoy, by ourselves. So this is the thing which we are fighting. This is the root of the material disease. This is the what is that? The primary root of the material disease, that we are trying to be Purushas. Right. Okay. So he is one knower. So the living entity is one knower, and the other is the super soul. No. So he is the Param Purusha. Of course, it is to be understood that the both super soul and the individual entity are different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, so we have studied that Swa Amsha. So these Paramatma form is the Swa Amsha Rupa of the Lord, because it is like directly the expansion of the Lord, and we are called as Vibhinna Amsha. No, we are also expansions of the Lord, but we are Vibhinna Amsha. We are not Swa Amsha. Swa means one's own, or it's considered to be like one's own body, right? So my hand is a property of my body. So it's like it's undetachable. And my the hand in my shirt, that's also looking like a hand. I have a shirt and which has a hand in it. So that hand is not, that is also part and parcel of my body, only till the time I wear it, right? So otherwise, no, even if it is hanged in the hanger, so I still identify, oh, this is my shirt. But then it is Vibhinamsha, no, it is separated from me. I use it, but then it is my energy, it is my property, but it is separate from me, right? So it's something like that. So we are also energy of Krishna, but we are Vibhinnamsha. So in one sense, here it is mentioned, so both the living entity and the super soul are different manifestations of the same Supreme Lord, right? So the Lord expands as Paramatma, that is Swamsha. The Lord expands as the individual living entities, that is Vibhinnamsha, right? Vibhinna, Bhinna means like different. No, in Hindi also it is there, Bhinna. So Vibhinna Amsha means like separated expansions of the Lord. Okay, so the living entity is in the category of his energy, and the super soul is in the category of his personal expansion. So personal expansion means Swamsha. Both material nature and the living entity are eternal. That is to say, that they existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of superior nature, right? So we all know, we have studied in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the aspect of creation. So all the living entities, after the annihilation of the universe, they rest in the body of Mahavishnu. And when the next creation happens, no, the Lord is present already, the living entity is present already. Even the matter is present in its sum total form, the Mahat Tattva or Pradhana and things like that. And what is that going to happen? What is the change that is going to happen? No change effectively is going to happen. It is only the living entity, due to his desire to enjoy separately from the Lord, No, he's going to take different bodies using the, like how children these days, like they have something clay, some play toy clays are there. So they make different forms out of the clay, and then they'll again smash everything into one clay, and then again they'll make a different form, and then again they'll smash everything. So that's what is going to happen in this world. So essentially the ingredients are the same. The Lord is going to change. The living entities are also not going to change. The material nature also, in totality, there is nothing is going to be changed. So the same amount of material energy is going to be there in the beginning of creation, in the middle of creation, in the end of creation. So there is not going to be much of difference, right? So in fact, there is not going to be any difference at all. So in the middle period of creation, because of our desires, so many different bodies we create, just like the clay toys. And then again we actually merge all the clays together, and then again next life another toy, and then again merge, right? So that's keep happening, right? So okay, so all these elements, we, the living entities, the material nature, the Lord, everyone were existing before the creation, and we will continue to exist even after the creation is destroyed. Hmm? Okay, the material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of superior energy. Both the living entities and the material nature existed before this cosmic cosmos was manifested. Material nature was absorbed in the supreme personality of Godhead Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of Mahatattva. Right? Mahatattva is sum total of material energy, and this material energy is residing within the Mahavishnu form, Karanodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu. So the living entities are there in the body of Mahavishnu, and all the material elements needed to create the entire world is also lying in the body of Mahavishnu. So when the creation happens, all these things comes out, and when destruction happens, again all these things are wound up. So okay. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. Right. So, till the time we become completely purified of all our consciousness, we are not going to enter into the spiritual world. We'll be stuck in the material world, right? So bhutva bhutva praliyate. So again and again this creation and destruction keeps happening, and for what? Only just to accommodate our material desires, right? So that's the only purpose. The Lord is doing such a huge task of creating the entire universe and then running it and then destroying it, just to accommodate our very silly ideas and thoughts. The Lord has to do so much. Okay, that is the mystery of this material creation. That means if we are not fully purified, we will not go to the spiritual world. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within material nature. It really does not matter how these living entities are superior, or the superior entities of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, have come in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why it actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by this material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence. Right? So, what is it? Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasashtyani Indriyani, Prakriti Karshati. Prakriti Karshati. No, they are struggling for existence with the mind and the six senses, or the five senses, and then plus the mind also inclusively, it is called six senses. Wherever this number six comes and senses come, immediately we should know that is the like all our basic knowledge acquiring senses and the mind, put together is called six. Shashtani, right? Okay. Mm, we saw that dragging for no undergoing a hard struggle for existence, right? But we should know it with certainty from the descriptions of these few verses that all transformations and influences of material nature by the three modes are also productions of material nature. All transformations and variety in respect to living entities are due to this body. As far as spirit is concerned, living entity are all the same. Okay, so we will stop here and we will resume tomorrow, right? So we are going through this wonderful chapter of 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we try to understand the field of activities, that is the body, and the knower of the field of activities is the living entity and the super soul. Both of them know. And then what is the object process of knowledge? Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantirajyavam. So all those 20 items of knowledge, that please kindly memorize them. And then Nyayam is what is to be known. So that, like the Lord, the individual living entity is to be known, and then the Lord has to be known. So soul and the super soul are the objects of knowledge, or know that which we want to, or the goal of knowledge that we want to understand at the end of knowledge, right? So this is what we want to attain to. And this is called Jnana Yoga. So this whole section is called Jnana Yoga, and it is going to present things in such philosophical terms, right? So in the beginning, Karma Yoga chapter and Bhakti Yoga chapters were like quite smooth sail. So, but the Jnana Yoga chapters are going to be little technical like this, wherein we'll have to always keep coming back to some equation, and we have to see like how this thing is working and things like that. So, no, it is a very careful study of this section. Now, will give us transcendental knowledge, and with transcendental knowledge, we will attain the state of liberation. And from there, we can very, very rapidly progress to Krishna consciousness. Very rapid, this one we can actually make. Okay. Hari Hari. So, we will end the session now. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.